Thank you, Senator Kelly, and that will be accepted for the record, not just submitted. Thanks very much, and we'll turn next to Senator Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to you and the ranking member for hosting the committee hearing today, and welcome to our witnesses. Thank you for being here, and welcome to all of our guests. I want to direct my questions to you, Ms. Simpkins, and I appreciate you being here. I'm particularly concerned by some of the estimates that I've seen about labor shortages that are long-term care facilities, not just now. I know there's sort of an immediate problem of not enough people at some of our elderly care facilities, but I saw an estimate that by 2030, we will need, given, obviously people will retire, will drop out of the workforce, but then we also have changing demographics in this country. We're becoming older as a country. I read that we will need an additional 7 million long-term caregivers at these elder care facilities. That seems like a shocking estimate to me. It's hard to imagine how we could possibly hire effectively a million additional people per year at these facilities, given the already existing labor shortages. I'm curious if you think that estimate is within the reasonable range, and if it's not, like, how many more workers do we need over the next 5 to 10 years?
Thank you for the question, Senator Vance. I have not heard 7 million. I've heard 5 million, but I can certainly, I'd be interested in your information, and I'll follow up and send you the information I have. In my response to that, we got hit by the pandemic really hard. Healthcare workers left, and they are never coming back. They said this was hard, and we're not going to do it, and we've had to recover. And assisted living has recovered pretty well. What we also need to do is we need to build for this aging, our workforce is aging out and our seniors are aging, and we're doubling and tripling numbers when we get to 2040 and 2050. And so having a really intense effort on what that means to both recruit and retain, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share just quickly what we're doing.
Sure.
From a recruitment standpoint, so that's how we recovered. We were able to get really creative. We looked at people and said, what do you need? What is it going to help your household? We knew we needed to increase wages. So even in an HCBS environment, you can have rate methodology that allows you to pay a living wage and higher than what a minimum wage is. And then we looked at retaining because, as people come into the assisted living and they stay because they are so passionate about it. And in honor of their passion, we need to create something for them. So what we do is from the first interview, we ask them what they envision 6 months from today, 1 year from today, 3 years from today. We want them to envision a future with us and at least a future with the assisted living industry. And then we have to meet that need by career pathing, career mapping, and what we've done a lot of that, and what we've realized through those interviews and people saying, this is my career path, is we also need a skill path. We need to provide them with the resources, whether it's through a nursing grant, is through additional education that we're reimbursing them for, additional training that they need. So if you're going to commit to working within this space in a workforce, you also need to create and having a workforce that's continuing to be passionate, make a living wage, and have the tools they need and the want to stay.
Got it. Appreciate that. And one just additional thought here is, you hear about these cases of elopements at some of our elder care facilities, and they are mercifully rare. We have close to 1 million Americans in elder care facilities right now. Maybe 2,000 or so elopements happen per year. That's a small number, but I worry with increasing labor shortages whether that number goes up. And I've heard some suggestions that you could fill the labor shortage gap by expanding certain immigration programs, certain visa programs. And the one worry that I have there, of course, is that if you take a person caring for an elderly citizen, you want to make sure there's not a language barrier there, especially with people who are going through dementia, might be losing some of their cognitive capacity. So we really have to wrap our minds around this. I appreciate the work that you're doing on this, and I appreciate your answer to the question. But are you worried that we might see an increase in elopements over the next few years, or do you think not?
We need to plan for how our seniors are aging and the additional care needs. And we do that through person-centered planning. I believe Dr. Kraft Morgan mentioned that. Our person-centered care plans revolve around what a resident needs because, and to Patricia's point too, somebody can have the same diagnosis and their needs are completely different. And if you're not having person-centered plan for that individual, which is collaborative with their family, with their resident, as much as they can participate in it, with their caregivers, you're not going to have the best plan to keep them as safe and secure as you possibly can. On the immigration side, I would, there's an opportunity here with unused visas to at least start bringing, if you think about the workforce, start bringing in some healthcare workers. And Senator Vance, to your point, there are some markets that we're within that have the residents who also have language barriers. So having staff who speak Spanish, we have staff who speak Polish, based on where the neighborhoods are.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Vance. Senator Ricketts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, thank you to all of our folks here that are testifying. I appreciate you taking the time to help us out here today. I represent the great state of Nebraska,